This is just Bob Bowman, and I'm coming back at you with another video. And in this video, I am going to be discussing the topic. It's a challenge to challenge court of public opinion. And recently, I went through a video by the name a gentleman by the name of Stephen R. Covey, and he wrote a book called The Seven Habits of Effective People. And he talked about the three steps on the path to personal success. And the first step is dependency. Then you move on to independence. And then you move on to interdependence. And one thing that he discussed, and I've heard these terminologies before, but one thing that he discussed is that these are the three steps that you must go through in order to be effective. And you cannot pass through one to get to the next. Like it starts off with us being children, infants, when we're dependent on everybody to make sure that we take care of ourselves. And if we properly grow up and develop into being the people that we're supposed to be, once we get into our teenage and our young adult years, we're learning how to be independent. So once we become fully independent on our own, we can start becoming interdependent, which is starting a family, business, things of that nature. However, in the inner city, these steps sometimes are not done because you have certain individuals within the community that are trained to continuously be dependent on everybody else or dependent on the validation of other people, and they never fully go to the next step the way that they need to. And moving on from dependency to independence, it isn't just about money. It isn't just about owning a business. It isn't just about being able to, take care of yourself. It's also character building. It's also understanding how to be honest with yourself, honest with other people, being realistic about what's going on around you in society, making hard decisions, some decisions that you probably won't like, making decisions that may be tough on you, may be tough on people that you love, but you know you have to make these tough decisions. Being disciplined, doing the work and doing the things that you don't want to do in order to get the results that you need in order to progress in life. And you cannot skip these steps in character building. And one thing that I had to learn about myself is that I'm currently going through the process of becoming independent. And what I mean is that I'm learning how not to look for outside validation for what it is that I'm doing and how it is that I uh, choose to live my life, how it is that I choose to, you know, who it is I want to date, who it is I don't want to date. Like I'm doing what it is that I need to do to stop looking for validation from other people. That means that even if I lose friendships, if I stop being close to certain family members, that I am willing to do that in order for me to move on from the step of being dependent on others to being independent. You see what I mean? Because court of public opinion, it only thrives within an individual when they're dependent on their image and their validation from people outside of themselves. You see, I had to go through this harsh reality 3 years ago when I was canceled, because I decided to stand up for myself and not date who it is that everybody else around me wanted me to date. And going through that and going through that rejection, going through that ostracism, going through being ignored, being shunned, being humiliated, having rumors and lies spread about me. Some things were true, some things wasn't. But understanding that I went through that and that's what was going on with me, I realized that I had a strong dependency on having that public validation. or seeking that public validation. And I thought that if I just worked real hard and I do everything that I needed to do, I would be validated by society. And I saw people that did a lot worse things than I've ever done in my life be validated in society. However, I understand now that people are going to think how they want to think. If they want to think highly of you, they are. If they don't want to think highly of you, they're not. And there's nothing that you can do about it. And there's nothing that you can do to change it. That person would have to change it for themselves. And if they don't want to change it for themselves, they don't have to. And at the end of the day, it's up to you on whether or not you allow that to affect you. And if you can't distance yourself from that person, then you have to learn ways of knowing what's going on and how to tolerate it. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that I can't look for outside validation anymore. And I'm doing my best to learn how to love being by myself more. Like not being around individuals while I'm going through this transition that I'm going through. Because I know that I'm not ready 100% to fully interact with the outside world because I'm moving away from being dependent on other people to validate me into being independent where I understand that I have to work on these things on my own and validate myself in order to be a better person. You see, and part of this is working on the small victories within myself. That means if I know that I'm getting up early enough to go to work on time, if I know that I'm working out, going to the gym when I want to go and when I say I was going to go, if I'm paying my bills on time, if I'm treating people with respect, if I'm being cordial to everybody, if I'm allowing myself to treat others how I would want to be treated. And if they don't respect it, then to treat them the way that they want me to treat them. And sometimes people don't want me to say a word to them, you see. And I had to understand that and pick up signals on that. Like sometimes it's individuals that just don't want to be around me and don't like me, even if I haven't said anything to them. They could have heard something, or they might look at my personal appearance and think the worst of me, even though I haven't done anything negative to them, but just due to the way that I look or how I appear or how I talk, they don't want to have anything to do with me. And I have to respect that. That means that if they don't want me to say a word to them, if they don't want to say a word to me, they don't want to be cordial to me, then I won't say anything to them. I won't try to be cordial to them. I won't try to be so-called nice to them. I won't try to do anything for them. I'll let them figure out whatever it is that they need to figure out for themselves in order to keep the peace. Because it's not always about getting along with others. It's like ultimately it's about keeping the peace. If you dislike a person, even if they never done anything to you, what is it that you can do to keep the peace in order for things to always go smooth and not to be disruptive too much if possible? And these are the things that I'm understanding within myself, and I understand how I got to interact with others in society. And I know that going from this level of being dependent to being independent, and hopefully one day I can become interdependent, but I can only worry about one step at a time. And some people will look at me and they'll say, "Oh, you too old to change how it is how it is in your life. You might as well just go along with the program." And I'm saying it's never too late to change. It's never too late to change what it is that it is how you interact with other people, the way that it is that you think about things, the way that it is that you perceive yourself, the way that you're conducting yourself privately. So once you do that privately, it's going to reflect publicly eventually. And I understand that going through this process is going to be difficult, it's going to be challenging. There's going to be times when I stumble and fall short of what it is that I want to do, but I'm not going to change the course. If I fall, I'm going to get back up. In the Bible, it says a just man falls 7 times, 7 times. So that means that it's supposed to represent like a person constantly stumbling through life. But people constantly stumble through life, and there are times when people, no matter how many times they stumble, they find a success. And we see a lot of stories like this. And one thing that I understand is that some people depend on me staying dependent. And what I mean is that, for example, it was a lady that ran the church that I was going to, and she knew that I was having difficulties financially. But she was always saying that you need to give money, you need to give this and that. You know, you need to stop worrying about what's going wrong with your life and just worry about doing what it is God wants you to do. But she was saying these things because she was dependent on me giving her that money to keep her operation going, which is what a lot of these so-called religious organizations and even other types of organizations do to individuals to keep them in line. They use guilt trips on them. They gaslight them. They shame them. And if they don't do what it is that these organizations want them to do, then sometimes it's a possibility that their personal business can be put out there and it's used to ostracize and shame and humiliate that person. And one thing that there was a content creator by the name of O'Shea Duke Jackson said, and he talked about Mac Dre, and he said that Mac Dre used to say a term in his rap songs where he'd say the game is thick. And what that means is there's no honor amongst thieves. All's fair in war and in love. This is life. Once you understand that and once you realize that, it gives you the freedom to try to figure out what it is you need to do personally for yourself to build your character up to where you don't fall into the pitfalls as much as you used to, or you don't fall for the shaming and the guilt tactics as much as you used to. And once you figure out the game, you are useless to those who want to use you. And once they know that they can't use you, 9 times out of 10, they are going to stop associating with you because they want you to feel bad about them not associating with you. They're going to try to keep other people from associating with you so you can feel bad about being by yourself. So you can be dependent on their validation and their presence so you'll do whatever it is that they want you to do. That's the game. That's part of the game, at least. And moving up in levels is a form of character building. Like you have to look at what it is that you're doing wrong personally, your short your shortfalls and your shortcomings, like what it is that you're not doing correct, and you have to look at what it is that you can fix. Because some things about ourselves we cannot personally fix. It's because it's a part of our personality. And if we understand what it is we can fix and what it is we can't fix, we have to just focus on what it is that we can fix in order to improve ourselves. And sometimes that means being by yourself for a prolonged period of time. That means that you're not out spending money just to feel like you're loved and you feel like you're appreciated. Because at the end of the day, money is a tool, just a tool. It's not a validation resource. That's all money is a tool. And we see this because we see people in the limelight that's still not getting respected, even though they have tons and tons of money. So that let us know that that money isn't as valuable as we might think that it is, that we are looking at it in a wrong way than how we are supposed to look at it. It's supposed to be a tool. And this is what causes what people call gang stalking. And you will get tested. And gang stalking is it's like, okay, you're not following the program that we want you to do. So we gonna scrutinize you. We gonna send people your way. We gonna send distractions your way. We gonna spread rumors and lies about you. We gonna try to break you. We are really gonna try to break you in order for you to do what it is that we want you to do. If we can cause you to lose your job, we'll do that. If we can cause you to lose respect within your family, we'll do that. But we want you to do what it is that we want you to do because we're looking at things from our perspective. We don't care about what it is that you think or your perspective. And when you stand up for yourself, they are going to set traps for you to fail. And sometimes you may fall for those traps, and sometimes you may see that trap and you like, damn, I'm not falling for that trap because I see what's going on. So you have to be smart about things. You have to be disciplined within yourself. You have to show people through your actions that you mean what it is that you say. And you may stumble and fall, but that doesn't mean that you give up. You keep stumbling and you keep falling until you get to that next level. So I like the past 3 years of me moving away from being dependent to being independent, I've had a lot of stumbles this way. There are times when I had to take a break from being so disciplined and I had to relax a little bit because you need those breaks. Because I'm a human being just like everybody else. If I take life way too serious, it's going to put way too much stress on me, and that's going to cause me to like die early. And I don't want to do that. So I have to do what it is that I need to do to de-stress from certain situations so I can be able to function to the highest level of my ability when it is time for me to put in that serious work. There's a time for me to relax. Like I didn't work out when I was on my vacation. I took that time to let my body relax, but then once I came back from vacation, I was stronger than what I was before I went on vacation. And see, and that's what we have to understand is that during this process, yeah, we have to produce, but then we have to also do maintenance on ourselves so we can continue to produce. And that maintenance that we do on ourselves is taking time to relax, taking time to socialize and have fun. So when I say these things about being by yourself and working from being dependent to independent, I'm not saying just be socially awkward and isolate yourself 100% of the time. No, sometimes you need to go out. You need to meet new people. You need to let your hair down and relax a little bit. But don't do it all the time. Do it very limited once you're going through this process. And don't give up because giving up is accepting the program that others have for you. And I made a commitment to myself that I'm not going to give up. I'm not going along with the program. I am going to stay this course that I'm on. Because even in the Bible, it said that those that stay the course until the end will be saved. You see, some people use Romans 10 8, chapter 10, verse 8, and they say, oh, if you profess, Jesus, that he died for your sins and that you believe that he rose again from the dead, that you'll be saved. Like that's a part of it. That's a part of it. And I'm not going to say that it's not. But also the other part is enduring till the end. That means going through the good and the bad times, the difficult things. Being disciplined enough to say no, not only to other people, but no to yourself. And sometimes that's even harder than saying no to other people, is saying no to yourself, no to your flesh, no to spending your money on these hoes. Yeah, I'm going there. You have to say no to spending your money on these hoes. You have to say no to overeating. You have to say no to not going to the gym and working out. You have to say no to not, to watching TV too much. You have to say no to trying to do everything for everybody else just so they'll be happy, even though you're exhausted. You have to say no to yourself too while you're saying no to everybody else. And life is like chess. And when you look at chess, some people look at it as like either you win or you lose. No, it isn't like that. See, at the end of the game, either you lose, which is dependency, and that's the end of life. If you end your life being dependent on others, you pretty much lost that game. But if you go through life and you end your life being independent, that isn't winning, but that's a stalemate. If you pass away and you pass away with people that love you and respect you and held you in high regard, you passed away interdependent. And interdependency is the victory. And it reminds me of a wrestler. And I'm doing this story during WrestleMania weekend, this video rather. Um, and it's a story of a wrestler by the name of Cody Rhodes, and he's the son of Dusty Rhodes. And I spoke about Dusty Rhodes in one of my videos before. And one thing about Cody Rhodes that inspires me, and this is one of the reasons why I hope that he wins tonight, is that I understand his story. He went into the WWE at a young age. You know, he got trained. You know, he got words of advice. He got built up, but they didn't see him past a certain level. They only saw him being on the lower mid card, like he was losing everybody. But he knew that he had more ability than what they saw in him. And so once his contract expired, he went ahead and he wrestled in the independent scene, built his name up, built his reputation up, worked hard, and then eventually he started a company with other people. And they sold out Madison Square Garden in the midst of them starting this company. And he was one of the people that was in charge of creative when he started this company. However, he understood once he got in that position that even though his father did a similar role when he was wrestling, it wasn't for him. And he had to carve out his own identity outside of what his father did, even though his father was who his father was, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. He had to figure out who he was as a person, which is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And it was one goal that he actually wanted more than running a company. He wanted to be one of the boys still. Not only did he want to be one of the boys, he wanted to be one of the best in the world. And so he put in even more work, and he allowed his contract with the company that he founded to end, and he went back to the WWE. And see, that's not the end of the story though. See, he went back, he had great matches, but then in this midst of him showing who he developed himself to be, and he was a main eventer at this point, and he was showing himself to be a true main eventer. He had a very terrible injury that happened to him. He tore his pectoral muscle straight off the bone. And so he had to stop wrestling and he had to go into recovery and he had to go into rehab. And it was a setback into his journey to becoming the heavyweight champion again. But then he came back. And when he came back, people noticed that he was even in better shape than what he was when he got hurt. That he was even more determined than what he was when he got hurt. That he was even sharper in wrestling than he was before he got hurt. Like his timing was way more impeccable than what it was previous, and he was good previous. He gotten even better. He won the Royal Rumble. Every week he's been putting on great matches leading up to tonight. And he's going against Roman Reigns, and I'm hoping that he finally beat Roman Reigns. But this is wrestling. But if you look at the whole overall story of what he is telling, and it isn't just wrestling, it's also his personal life. This is a great story. This is a great story of showing people not only how to build yourself up to being independent, but also overcoming that level of just staying independent because he want to be interdependent with WWE to that point to where he's holding the World Heavyweight Championship. He has an image for himself that he has created and he wants to live it out. And he's determined to do that. And he did the work that was necessary for him to do that. And I'm like, everybody's path isn't going to be clear cut like his path was. And even his path wasn't fully clear cut. But you have to figure out your personal story, which is why I talked about his story in this video. Because I've looked at his story and I'm like, wow, that inspires me to think about what it is that I need to do. Like, I may have to take some more risks, which I've already started taking risks in my life, but I might need to take even more. And I've had certain setbacks. You know, like the company that I was investing cryptocurrency in, like that company is closing down. So I have to withdraw all my investments from that company and put that money back into my bank account. But I'm going to figure out what it is that I need to do in order to be effective. Not just successful, but effective. And that's my take on things. With that being said, this is just Bob Bowman. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Figure out your own path. I'm trying to figure out my own path. And I'm out.